Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to deploy on-premise database on Azure SQL Server. In case you're a data scientist or data analyst or database administrator or local developer and you've been working with maybe Adventureworks database on your local machine, it is time to explore the cloud as well, because knowledge of the cloud will definitely give you an edge, not just in the job you are looking for, also when you get to work, because it evolves with the technology that is moving around us. And if you don't work with cloud, you will not even know how it is and how easy it is to use them. So what we're going to do is 6 steps here, and it starts with SQL Server on Azure. We're going to be able to create Azure SQL Server and also configure it together, but you must have license to do this. Is either you use the student, which is free for students, or you attach your credit card. I'm going to put in the video description the link to that will guide you on how to set this up. Then once you are done creating the SQL Server on Azure, then we go ahead and set up SQL Server on our own local machine. In case you already have it, then you don't have to disturb yourself at that point. We're going to install SQL Server on your local machine and install SQL Server Management Studio, because we need to also manage, you use that to manage the server. And Adventureworks, which is a backup file, you're going to download the backup file and restore it on your local machine. And after you're done restoring it, then you will export it, which is now the database now, to a BACPAC file. That's the format that is easy to import on the cloud. So you export it to a BACPAC file, and then storage account. We're going to create a storage account where we're going to place it in the cloud, and then pick it directly from there when importing the BACPAC file. And finally go back to the same SQL Server where we have created and configured on Azure, and then import the BACPAC file that is now in the storage account. Easy step. All the system will do that together, and you see how easy it is to work with the cloud. And especially if you are just coming up, this is a good resource for you to start demonstrating your knowledge of cloud. Let's start by creating our Azure SQL database. I have to log into Microsoft Azure, portal.azure.com, and you should have an active subscription, or your free account like the education account or student account, or you are having a trial account of Azure. Okay, let's go to create a resource and locate SQL database. Click create. The next step is for you to set up your subscription and fill up all these things. Because there's already a subscription I'm using, I have to set up a resource group, which I have to create fresh, because I don't have any here. And I'm going to call this practical class, because that is the group that I want to have all the resources that relate to this. And SQL database name, I have to give it a name. I'm going to call this business DB. And server, there's none, so I have to create new. The server name, I can call it business DB. And region, I'm going to select West Europe. Here, I'm going to use both SQL and Azure administration for authentication. And for my Azure AD admin, I have to set an admin. I'll set admin by going through this side and looking for a user that I want to assign as admin. Now I've selected one, I'm going to add the person and click on select. So I already have an admin now. Then I need to do my server admin login. Okay, now that I've done this, I'm going to click on OK. That is my server. I'm not done. I have to continue. It is development, is not production. Do my configuration here and say locally redundant backup. When I put it there, it should be, and this guy is using 32 core. I can configure my database. What I need to touch here most is the service tier, which I need to put at and say basic. Yeah, so basic is what we want. It's just $4.90 per month, and that is the estimation. So there's really not too much of cost configuration here. I'm gonna click on apply. So we have the compute and storage done now. Then I'm gonna say review and create. Okay, it's gonna cost $4.90 per month. Nothing there because we've done networking, we've done security, additional settings. Of course, we can always check through this bar, the basic. Is there anything here that we've not touched? Nothing. Check the networking. Okay. For networking, we want to make this public endpoint. Allow Azure services and resources to access this server. Yes. Add current client IP. Yes, gonna add this. And then connection policy. Good. This is fine. Then come to security. Not now. Ledger, no for configuration, identity. This is fine. Additional settings. Here you might want to use maybe existing data backup. There is no backup at the moment. Sample data, we don't have that now. The sample is the Adventureworks Lite version that comes with it. If I want that, of course, I can click OK, and I have the Adventure sample L2. Let's have it. Click OK. And on the tags, in case you want to tag, you can add the tag to your this review and create. And I'm going to click on create. At this point, it's initializing, it's deploying, and yes, our SQL database is going to be available for us to use. Now that the database preparation or setup is done, you can easily go to resources by clicking a go to resource. We take us to our this resource group, but the database we've created and is business DB, and we can start engaging with our database, which is business DB. Don't forget, it's also installed alongside with it the Adventureworks Lite version, so you'll be able to also interact with this Lite version. Awesome. If you go back to home, by just clicking on that home Microsoft Azure, it takes you back here and you see your resource group, which is practical class. For example, if you open resource, we're going to see the database inside. This is the server, but this is the database itself. So when I click on the database, you get to this kind of screen. That's where I am right now. Under query editor is under preview. That's where you can query and engage with this database. Of course, Azure Data Studio is best optimized to engage with this, but you can still use the query editor. If I click on query editor, it will try to log you in and might not, your username might not, it might have some IP issue, but use the admin record you have created and put the password to admin. Once you put in the password, click on OK. This will grant you access. And it's telling that, oh, this functionality is limited, but if you truly want to enjoy huge functionality, use the Azure Data Studio by clicking here. I don't have it installed yet. You can also use the web service, but let's explore what we have here. First, remember we use the Lite version of the Adventureworks. We have tables. These are tables that comes with it. For example, product, I can right click and say select top 1000 products. It's going to run the query and it's running, taking some seconds. You're going to see this is top 1000 products, and I can go back and edit this table, this query, and specify exactly what I need, and I'm going to see that. So remember, the goal is how can we then bring in Adventureworks database, maybe of 2019, the different versions now, maybe the OLTP or the data warehouse version, bring them in here, right? The next step we're going to do now is to install SQL Server on a machine, local machine, and SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. So that the two things we need to install, and also download Adventureworks database, the backup database. We need to download it. So first, if you go here in this URL in the video description as well, you can see the link to download SQL Server. SQL Server on-premise, that is where what I downloaded. Go to SQL Server on-premise, then you have to put in your details so that you can download it. I'm using the preview for 2022, but if you want your other version of SQL Server, you can come here and download all the specialized edition called Express. When I click on Express, it goes ahead and start downloading. For me, I have downloaded the 2022. I have to install, and also go ahead and download SQL Server Management Studio, which is SSMS. I'm using the preview version as well, 19, but 18 is a stable version that you can also download. All right, you can see all the editions of it. When you visit this link, you will see where to download SQL Server Management Studio. Let's go ahead and install them. First, installing my server. So I'm clicking here to install. Right on my screen is installing. I'm going to choose the basic and accept. Of course, just agree with what I have here. I'm okay here. I'm going to click on install. So it's downloading and installing all the necessary packages at the moment. I'm going to pause and we'll come back once it's done. Now that installation has been completed, do take note of all. You can take a screenshot or copy, all these things here and just keep it somewhere in case this is your first time, so that because you will have to reference them at one point or the other. So this is fine. And the next thing is click on connect now just to see it at work. So it's going to connect, show a dialog box and show to you that yes, it's connected. And connection is successful. As you can see, right, when you see this, it shows that connection is successful. All right, so you can close this then and install SQL Server Management Studio. So I'm going to close this and say, are you sure you want to exit? Yes, I want to. Then click on SQL Server Management Studio, which is what I already have here, and install it as well. I'm going to go ahead and click install. Right now is installing SQL Server Management Studio. You just have to follow the prompt. There's really nothing technical in this installation. I'm going to pause now. Once it's done, unloading packages and installing, we'll come back here. Now that I've also installed, SQL Server Management Studio, which also comes with Azure Data Studio for further querying of our database in the cloud, and all specified components have been installed successfully, I'm going to close. I've also downloaded Adventureworks 2019, the OLTP, which is the online transaction processing workload, and also the data warehouse workload. Both of them are different in structures and schemas. So the most comprehensive of them is the OLTP, which I also have. I can use one to show you how to pull this data in the cloud, while the other you can always do it by yourself. Okay, so the next step for us now is to put up our SQL Server Management Studio and restore this database. But before you restore the database, let's go and put it in the right folder where it should be. To move our downloaded file from the download wherever you download, to move our downloaded file to wherever, to move a downloaded file from wherever it's been downloaded in your system, mine is in my download folder, to move them to the right backup file, on our directory, what you have to do is go to your download or locate wherever the file get downloaded. I have them here. I'm going to cut them. And I have a new tab open. You can actually open my PC on your system. Then you navigate to this for Windows user, by the way, to program files. And here I'm going to locate SQL Server and locate SQL Server, this particular one, MMS SQL Server. And you see this, and you see backup. It might bring up a notification that you don't have access to this folder. Click continue to do, just click continue, and I'm going to paste it here. Yes, I have the backup file. So when I'm trying to back up my file, it will, let me edit because it seems I've downloaded this before. I can't remember. Just have to take out the one. You might not need to do this on your own. I'm just removing the one so that I have this one. Fine. Yeah, I'm fine with this. So when I'm trying to back it up, it just naturally goes to this folder to look for backup because that is the folder that should house backup files. The next step now is for us to open our SQL Server Management Studio and then bring up, the environment and back up our file. To bring up your SQL Server Management Studio, all I have to do is to click on the search button and look for SSMS, which is SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm going to open it. And once this is up, it's going to show this and by default populate this with your server name, and then authentication method is set by default to Windows authentication. Just connect. Click connect button. Now that I'm connected, I'm going to look for databases. Do I have any? I don't have any database except the snapshot and the system databases, which I don't need. And what do I have to do? I'm going to right click on databases, and you see restore database. I'm going to restore database. I then have to locate where is the database that I want to restore. Obviously, it's not here, it's on my device. So, and I'll use this button here to locate it in the device. Don't forget, we have put it in a backup file, and it's a file. It's not a URL, and I'm going to click on add. You see, it loads my backup file immediately, and that's what it's looking at, looking for that database. I have it right here, Adventureworks 2019. We're going to do both of them, but one by one. And click on this and click on OK. It's now here. I'm going to click on OK. So right now it's backing it up. You can see the progress here. Adventureworks backup, this is the database name. It's backed up, this is the name. If I want to change, this is actually destination database. I can edit, but that is all I need. It's fine. I'm going to click on OK. Database Adventureworks 2019 restored successfully, and you can see at the left hand side it's there. I'm going to click on OK. Let's also bring here the second one. I'm going to right click databases, restore database, click on device, use this button, then click on add, then go to Adventureworks data warehouse version now, workloads, click OK. It's loading. You see, it's done because it's faster and it's lighter. Then click OK. It's done. At the left hand side, you can see it's already there. For example, if you open the database, you're going to see, we're wondering what is the difference. Open them and open the tables. See, taking time to load, it's not overly heavy, but several tables and schemas are here. And if I open the one that is meant for data warehousing, it has been formatted into fat and dimension, so you don't have it as enough table. You see, you can see fat tables, dimension table. That's what we have here. But for the data warehouse, the regular one, which is the online transactional processing, the way the business is raw business, data stored on different tables, multiple schemas, and that is what we have here. This is not the end. What we've just done is to restore it on our own on-premise. But remember, the real thing is we want to connect to our database that we have on cloud and then deploy this and duplicate this database we have now in the cloud. The next step is to export this data to BACPAC, which is the backup file format that is readable for the SQL database in the cloud. So I'm going to go straight to one of them. We're going to do for both of them. For Adventureworks 2019, I'm going to right click and go to task and go to export data tier application and follow the prompt. I'm going to set where I want to save it, which is my desktop. I'm going to just choose my desktop, and on my desktop I'm going to put a name there. I'll call this Business DB 2019. That is for this one. I'm going to click on save. So it's going to save on my desktop. Of course, you can save it on cloud and log in, but I just want to save on my desktop. And click next, and here. So it's going to export. Right now it's exporting it. I'm going to pause, can take a few minutes. Once we're done, we'll come back here. Now all the operations is successfully completed, and you can see all the tables. Is it just tables? Yeah, I can see tables here. Are there no views? We see later. So there's the result. I'm going to click on close. Then I'm going to do for the data warehouse version, go to task and go to export data tier. Follow the prompt as well. Next, I'm going to click browse. Is still my desktop. So right now it's on desktop. This time I'm going to call this Business DB DW 2019. So that's data warehouse format. That is lighter. So I'm going to click next. It's lighter than the other one and click finish. Okay, it's also exporting this database right now to BACPAC format, like a zip file. Right, let's pause and come back once it's done. Okay, we're back now. It's also done. It has imported this as well. So I'm going to click on close. The next step for us is to go to Azure and create a storage account. That way it's easier for us to then import because we have dropped the database backup in the storage account. So I'm going to switch to my browser, and here I'm going to click on create a resource, and I will search for storage account. When you type storage account, you see storage account coming up. The result will be more than one, so just focus on the Microsoft storage account. That's what you see Azure service, and I'm going to click on create. Because we have created a subscription resource group before, so we're just going to use them. What I've just changed is the storage account name, which I'm going to call all in small letter business DB storage. All right, so business DB storage, and I used like my West Europe. That's my location. Yeah, it's fine. Everything is fine. I'm going to click on review. It's running validation here. Final validation done. In case you want to do other customization, you can do them here. It's easy to, if I put this now, I'm turning this to data lake. I don't need to select that option. I just need the storage account, which is fine for me. So go back to this review. Okay, final validation is still running. Yeah, final validation done. I'm going to click on create. So this way, it's initializing deployment of the storage account. Now that our deployment is complete, we can go to resource. By clicking here, go to resource. That is our storage account that we've created, and that's the business DB storage. You can see right here, we have it. And all I have to do now is to go to my container. I need to just create a folder in my container. And that's where I'm going to drop it. So there's nothing in my container yet except the log. I'm going to create a container and call it business DB. Privacy level, you can turn public, Bob, anonymous. I just want to keep it private, and click on create. So business DB is created, and I need to then upload. I'm going to upload those BACPAC file from my PC. I'm going to use this folder icon and open up my PC and go to my desktop. That is where I saved it, and I can see them here. There are these two, which I've selected both of them. I'm going to upload. Then click on upload. This way, both of them will get uploaded. They are very compressed file. One is 15 MB, the other is 17 MB. Good. First one is done. The second is also done. What am I going to do next is to go to my SQL Server. My SQL Server, which is Business DB, and it is in this server that I will now deploy or import my backup file. We are back to our server now. All I have to do is click on import database. Most of those configurations are already there. I just need to change few. And storage, I need to then select backup here because I have the backup. This is business DB storage. That's the storage that I have. This is the container. I move inside the container and I've seen them there. I'm first interested in the DB. This one is the OLTP version. I'll click on this and say select. So it has selected it. I can change this configuration later. I will scale down. I just want it to be fast so you can use this capacity. Okay, and next I want to use my SQL Server, and I have to put in my password. I'm going to click OK. Deployment. Submitting import request for database is submitting it at the moment. Which is submitted. Oh, it's still submitting. Right, by clicking on the import export history, you can see it. And if you go back home, okay, back to DB, if I click on import exports, I'll be able to see it there. It's running and it says progress 1%. Might be fast and conclude soon, but let's just wait. And once it's done, we'll see that it's done. As you can see, it is now completed. It took some minutes, like 3 minutes to import this. And it depends on your network speed. So if I click on this, it shows me all these details, but I just have to go back home and go to my server. And in my server, I'm going to see the DB is there. If I click on it, you see all these details, and I can go to query editor where I will log in, and the moment is checking where I have to log in with my SQL Server authentication. I'll click OK. Okay. Now we have the views. Just need to see if there are views imported alongside, and we have the tables, even including stored procedures. Yeah, the views are there. Awesome. And for example, let's check for pricing, production, the product model, product. Select of 1000 row. It will write this query and is running. We're going to see the records here. Awesome. We have the records here. That's fantastic. So what we're also going to do is, let's do similar thing for the other one that we have, which is the data warehouse workload. Just like what we did the other time, go to just like what we did the other time, go to import database. I have to select my backup. Of course, I have a storage account now. Open it, open the container, and I'm selecting the DW, which is data warehouse workload. Select. What is changing here? Okay, I like the DW version 2. Active Directory, I'm using SQL Server. I'm going to put my password. I'm going to click OK. It's submitting that import request. And once the request is done submitted, we're going to see, yep. So the progress will be in the import/export history, which when I go there, it's not yet added, but it will drop there shortly. And I'm going to just pause so that when it's done, we see it again. As you can see, the data warehouse version is on as well. Let's go back to our overview here, and you will see that the data warehouse workload is also here. If I click on it, I can explore by going to query editor, and I have to log in right here. Okay, so before we log in, let's go back to our overview and change the pricing tier, because we want to scale it down to something that is affordable, which when I come down here, general purpose standard tiers, if I click on this, I'll be able to change from what is there that is scalable to just basic for less demanding workload, and put this as locally redundant backup storage. Of course, it's for practical test purpose. It's not for production tool, and on $5 per month budget, which is fine. I'm going to click apply. So it's scaling down now, and that's the advantage of cloud. Scale database in progress, scaling from that huge resource to basic, which is just 2 gig storage. Do you see that? If you have made an attempt to purchase the hardware, now that you are done with that kind of migration, you cannot say, oh, I want to change it back to lesser capacity. And that's how easy and cost savings cloud is. So it is scaling down. I'm going to leave that in progress. If I go to overview, back to rather the server. When I'm back to the server, I go to the 2090, which is the OLTP workload. We need to do the same thing for this as well and scale this down. Right, I'm going to take from here to basic, and I'm going to put it here and apply. That one also is scaling down. Right, so this way we have been able to not just move the data from SQL database, which is the one on our system, but to the cloud, and learn few other things: how to set up, your storage account, how to set up a SQL server, how to set up a database on that SQL server, how to then upload and import the BACPAC format. Because this is a series, in the next we're going to see how to also connect Power BI directly to this database. So as you are building and running your analysis, you are not just running with Excel file exported somewhere. We are connecting to cloud infrastructure to do your work. Amazing, right? All right, thank you, and see you in the next video.